Okay, so let's go over explanation of what this test is going to look like when we're running an OTDR test on our fibers. So I drew a quick little really kind of crappy diagram to explain the setup of how this is going to look when we're all set up. So we have a couple different parts here. We have our OTDR tester, we have our first launch cable, we have a bridge connector, we have the fiber line that we're going to test, a second bridge connector attached to the second launch cable. So you could also say this is the launch cable and this is the receive cable, but really they're the exact same type of fiber, just hooked up on different ends. So our launch cable on one end is plugged into our OTDR. On the other end is plugged into the fiber line. This second launch cable is not plugged into anything at the end of the line. So I'm not particularly sure why that is. It seems kind of counterintuitive to have a totally empty fiber at the end of your line, but that's how it's required to be. So, all right, first step would be to clean and scope all of our fiber tips. So, for instance, that would be scoping and cleaning both ends of both of our launch cables here, and then cleaning the port here for the OTDR, and then cleaning all fiber junctions and connections in the fiber line that we're going to test. So, if you have a tower setup, you might have a fiber jumper in the ground that's running to a fiber trunk that's running up the tower to a OVP with a fiber jumper going to the radio. So if you want to test that whole length of the line, you should take a fiber scope, go through, unplug it at each connection point, scope and clean on both sides, and then plug them back in. Do that at every connection point because that will save you a lot of time and trouble when you're testing later on, because dirty fibers are like the most common cause of failing tests. So that's what I highly recommend. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for just a world of pain and suffering if you have to go and individually troubleshoot at each connection point later on. So I highly recommend that. After that, you're going to take one of your launch cables. You're going to plug one end into your OTDR tester to set it up just like this. And then the second end with your bridge connector on, you're going to plug into the fiber that you want to test. Just to note, this end is an SC and this end is an LC with an LC to LC bridge connector. So another thing about fiber cleanliness, they get dirty very easily. So even if you just blow on it, your breath has small molecules of particles of water vapor, and it will show up on the fiber microscope, possibly affect the test results. So if you've ever blown on fiber, I highly recommend not to do that. Get yourself a fiber cleaning kit, use alcohol wipes, fiber cleaning spray, a fiber clicker, a cartridge cleaner with that you can swipe along to clean the fibers. And then if you have a damaged fiber tip, you will probably need to replace the fiber, because if you have a slice or a gash or a chip that you can't clean off, you're going to need to replace that fiber. Okay, so I have it set up already for the fiber scoping, but it's kind of hard to set it up on the ground to show you what I mean. But just look at this diagram when you are running tests, and I'm going to run through the steps as if I was set up on a tower site for testing an actual fiber line. So step one, clean and scope all fiber tips. Step two would be to set up and plug in all your fibers, just like I have in this diagram right here. Step three would be to set your compensation. So what that means is on your main screen, when you're all plugged in, you go to set comp right here. You have a couple options to calibrate this. I like to do launch plus fiber plus tail. But one thing that you can do if you're on a tower and you have to send one launch cable up to the top of the tower, you should calibrate either with launch only or with launch plus tail, because you don't actually need the fiber you're going to test plugged into the system. You can do this before you test anything, and you can plug in both test jumpers on the ground, and it's pretty easy. So let's just try launch plus fiber plus tail. So when you set this, it will run for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then it will come back with a calibration. This will fail because it's not plugged in, it's not plumbed, just like in a normal test would be. Okay, cannot locate at end. That's what it'll show if you're not plugged in per the diagram, basically. So I'm going to click OK. I want you to note one thing. Let me run this one more time. Set comp, So this bar right here, port connection quality, poor. What that is looking at is this port right here. What you're going to need to do is take an SC fiber clicker, get in there, and clean this port out. Otherwise, it's going to give you really bad results. So that's another thing you'll need to do. So say this launch compensation, it's set correctly. So now we're ready to run our first OTDR test. So what you're going to do is go down to test right here. So it'll say error, yeah, because this isn't set up. So I can't actually run the test, but it'll run for about 20 to 30 seconds. And then it'll give you a pass-fail setting, or pass-fail screen explaining the results. So let me go into a previous project that we've done to show you what the test results look like. So these are all fails with the X next to them. These should be passes right here. So let me open this up. Oh, these are fiber scopes actually. So let me change to a project where we've actually done OTDR testing. Let's see. Let's try Cluster Pine. Results. AWS PCS Gamma. All right, so this is the result that you're, something similar to what you're gonna see. It shows you a diagram just basically looking like this, but it shows you the OTDR here, the first connection. This is the launch cable, number one. This is the line that they're testing, and then this is the second launch cable. It has a hidden end up there for some reason, but everything passes. You can go into each connection and select it. You can check the results right here. It'll tell you if it passes or fails. And these parameters are all preset in the Verizon preset file that I loaded earlier at the very beginning. So just reviewing each connection point, showing that it passes everywhere. And after that, you can save your file to whatever file naming type or file naming convention that they want you to save it as in the closeout package. So you'll just have to be very diligent about fiber cleaning. It's the biggest, can't reinforce this enough. That has been the biggest headache when it goes wrong that I've experienced when it comes to fiber testing. So that's about it. That's pretty much all there is to it. The other thing after you save the test results would be to upload your test results to Linkware Live. You can also use a USB drive to plug in here. You can export the files to your USB drive. You still have to download Linkware Live software in order to view the files and manipulate them and export them into a PDF from there. So I found that the easiest way is to create an account on Linkware Live. Just Google it, it'll come up. You can create an account, and then basically you can log into your account. You'll have to log in on this device to a Wi-Fi network, which you go through to Tools, Network. You can log into a Wi-Fi network here. It'll connect to Wi-Fi. Then you can sign in to your Linkware Live account. So we're connected here. So let me go back to Tools, and we go to Sign In right here. So this is where you'll put in your username and password for Linkware Live. And basically once you do that, you'll be signed in on your device, and then you can export your test results straight to the cloud, and then you can go into the website, log in, and it'll show you all your fiber test results. You can then export them from the website into a PDF. And then from that, you take the PDF and you can upload that to Ontel or into your closeout package or whatever you want. So that is how you use this Fluke OTDR tester. It's the only one that I've really used so far, but it has been, when the fibers are all clean and everything's set up and the launch cables have been cleaned, ports clean. After you do all that, once you start running it, it's very easy to use. The hardest part is just getting the passing results. Sometimes if you're testing pre-existing trunks, pre-existing jumpers, it can be a bit of a mess. So it just takes a lot of patience and diligence to, just go through the process and the steps. I would just follow those fiber steps each time, because if not, obviously it's going to give you a failing result. You're going to have you're just going to be banging your head against the wall pretty much. So, yep. Make sure you're cleaning your fibers over and over. Every time you disconnect a fiber, you should be cleaning it again. At the bare minimum, I would give it a couple clicks every time you disconnect and reconnect it with something else. So, all right, guys, good luck.